Yeah. Quinn on the mic, I'ma lace it with truth. Phillip in the back, calling plays from the booth. Podcast vibes, broadcasting the word, sharper than the two-edged sword. Every verse heard on my arm strap, shield tight like a glove. Faith in my veins, powered by God's love. Ephesians 6:11, yeah, it's the drill. Put on the full armor, stand firm in His will. Armor up, we don't back down. Shield of faith when the world comes around. Sword in my hand, I'm ready to fight. Jesus is the captain, leading through the night. Yeah, sports in the spirit, it's a game of endurance. Training in faith, no room for deterrence. Quinn and Phillip, tag team for the kingdom. Breaking down walls till the world can see them. Helmet of salvation, blocking the lies. Belt of truth, yeah, I'm suited to rise. Yeah, shoes fitted tight, spreading peace while I step. I run this race with Jesus, no regret. You feel the heat, that's the fire of the spirit. Voices in the dark, but I don't even hear it. Face my defense, prayer's my offense. Victory in Jesus, yeah, it's immense.
Welcome back to Armor Up Athletics, episode 12. This is Stronger Together. My name is Matt Quinn, joined as always by Phillip Leviner. What's up, Phillip?
What's up, Matt? How you doing tonight, brother? Everything good?
Yeah, man, everything's great this way. Coming off of a good win, playing for the conference championship Friday night, so we're excited about that. Had a big show last week, and I failed to mention this. It just kind of sprung up on everybody when they were watching. I had some people calling and texting about it. How about that new intro song, huh?
Yeah, it's fire. I've been listening to it all week. I love it. I got Paxton knows the words.
The Armor Up theme song has debuted last week with a big episode, obviously, with Terry Dean. But we're moving forward, and this episode is Stronger Together. You've probably all heard the saying and rehearsed the verse, not even knowing where it came from, maybe. Iron sharpens iron. In football and in life, we don't get stronger by standing alone. We grow when we push each other, when we challenge each other, when we lift each other up. Because no one wins championships alone. They don't finish the race of faith alone. They do it with somebody else, a spiritual partner, a mentor, a buddy, a friend, whoever it may be. And one of my favorite stories, Phillip, with iron sharpens iron, is when I was in high school. Every day at practice was a battle. We pushed each other to the max. As a receiver, I got to go up against Prince Miller and Kendall Glenn every single day. Both Prince Miller played at Georgia, Kendall played at Newberry. We had college guys pushing college guys and making each other better on the field. And we used to always talk about it, and we still laugh about that to this day, of like practices were tougher than the games were for us because we pushed each other so much and we were helping each other get better through the process.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant talks about that a lot, that he practiced so hard that the games are kind of easy. I was talking to my children. I always try to encourage them and do things with them. But, when we say iron sharpens iron, we're talking about people around you making you better, right? That's the whole thing. You want to be on the train and everybody's got to be going in the same direction. You need somebody to push you, to keep you in check, to keep you balanced. And we talked about that. We play baseball with FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and it's a great organization. Like I told you, I think I said this on another episode, the coaches are great because they're so competitive. It's like, I want to kick your butt, but then I'm going to pray for you, So that iron sharpens iron was definitely in effect this weekend. And it's fun to see that as my children get older now, and I get to witness that from the sidelines and watch those battles take place too.
Yeah, that's definitely cool with the sports aspect. Now, later in my life, we talked about the sports parts of it and, how practices at Burns High School and we sharpened each other. Now I have a same, group of guys, a team. And I could list them off, but I don't want to do that here because I'll forget somebody in the long list of text threads and group messages and chains that we have that help each other in their walk with God. And you, Phillip, obviously number one, because we're on this show together and we do this thing together and we talk about life and faith. But Kobe and Burns High School and any other championship programs that you want to talk about and any other champions that you want to talk about, they've pushed each other. They've had teammates, they've had coaches that are pushing them, that are making them better, not keeping them in their comfort zone, but pushing them out of their comfort zone to get better throughout the process, right?
Yep. And I think too, I was talking to, you talk about how this thing has grown a little bit. It's funny how you get text messages and messages from people just kind of wanting to inquire about things, and we're not all knowing by no means. We're learning as we go as well. But what I have found, I was talking to a gentleman the other day that's trying to, I say, correct his course. I don't ever want to say people, are bad or good. I mean, we've all fallen off. But we were talking about this how this episode came up, and when I sent it to you, you got to have people in your life that are doing the same things you're doing. And when you make this decision to go this route, are you going to have to put some things away and behind you, or separate yourself from some people in some areas? Yes. It's the only way you can stay in the book and in the realm that you need to stay in, because Ray Lewis says it best: you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. If you hang around in certain areas, whether you mean to or not, you're going to slip because the positive reinforcement's not there. So you have to have people in your life that are serving God, that are doing the same thing. It says that in the Bible. You have to gather yourself together. Again, me and you, obviously we talk, daily, weekly, and we're able to pass these things back and forth. But I found myself that my realm's starting to grow a little bit. I'm, Ricky Malloy and Lee Wallace and those guys that I can call on, that I know that we can just, we can still cut up, we can still joke, you can still be, you still be all right, but you got that balance there that makes it all better to me.
Yeah, for sure. There's a bunch of people in our circles that a lot of them cross paths that we didn't even realize until we started this whole thing, that our circles aren't as far apart as we, once thought they were. Episode 12, man. The sports connection, Phillip. You want to think about your team. Think about the practices. Think about the grind, the long days in the weight room, the two-a-days. We can't do two-a-days like we used to do two-a-days. Two-a-days back in the day were the grind, okay? But the best teams are the ones that hold each other accountable. They push each other to show up. They push each other to stay disciplined. They give everything they've got, not just for themselves, but for the guy next to them. That's what iron sharpens iron looks like in action with sports, right? When a teammate challenges you to be better, that's sharpening. When a coach corrects you because he believes in your potential, that's sharpening. Even when it hurts or humbles you, that's what growth feels like. And I've said this 100,000 times as a coach. The day that I stop coaching you is the day that I've stopped believing in you. And so every one of our kids know Coach Quinn's on me. He believes that I can do better. He believes that I can play better. I can work harder. So that's just, our faith and our sports kind of go hand in hand here on this podcast. Proverbs 27:17 is where this comes from. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. God never intended us to walk alone. He designed us to grow through connection, through brothers and sisters in faith who make us better daily.
Yeah, and it goes back to staying humble and staying hungry, right? You got to stay humble. I don't think you can ever, get to where I think I once was, where, when I was climbing that corporate ladder and I was all about me, putting myself at the top of the list, my head swelling, I'm getting these promotions, and, all of a sudden when it's snatched out from under you, you don't know how to fall from grace. Where if you stay humble in your journey, no matter where you're at in life, even if you fall, the fall's not that far. Humility, it speaks a lot of who a person is. And I say that to everybody I come across. You got it. I mean, I want my kids to stay hungry, stay passionate, stay competitive, but you got to be humble, and you got to show humility. Even if you're winning, I don't care what you're doing. There's a way to win and a way to lose. I mean, we say it all the time. I want you to be a dog on the field. I do. I want them to be, lights out. Let's play with energy. Let's get it done. After the game, you're going to bow your head. You're going to pray. You're going to walk off that field, because you never know when you're going to cross that person again in life. Like you just said, sports world is smaller than you think. The community is smaller than you think. And you want to be known for being humble, and being able to show grace and even in tough times. And again, the way you do that is you put yourself around people that are humble and that are, that show humility, that show grace. And if you start doing that, you'll see that there's a lot of people out there like that, man. I mean, there was one time I thought I was just absolutely alone. And this journey's opened my eyes. There's so many people out there willing to help other people. There really is. The world's not as bad as it seems sometimes. There are really good people out there, good pastors still in the community, good, just good, solid, humble people. And that goes back to the iron sharpening iron. It sounds like a tough type thing, and it is. You do have to be tough to an extent, but I think the humble part for me is what I'm learning the most on this journey.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. I'm glad you said that. Iron sharpens iron. It's not a smooth process. I mean, two pieces of iron sharpening each other is not easy. It's going to take some grind. It's going to take some tough time, right, to make each other sharper. But that's okay. We can push each other the right way. We'll jump into our verses now. For me in the faith connection, I'm going to go with Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. And it says, two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. That's what being stronger together means to me. Having people who pick you up when life knocks you down. Having that teammate that picks you up when you can't go another play, or when you think you can't go one more play. And sports and faith, obviously something that we're very passionate about here on Armor Up Athletics, but the parallels are so good to life through sports, through athletes, through whatever sport it is. We talk a lot about football because we're in football season, but following Jesus isn't a solo sport. Even he built a team. Okay, he had his 12 disciples. He didn't isolate. He invested in people. That's a powerful reminder for all of us. Faith isn't about perfection. It's about connection, stronger together.
Yeah, and I read that verse a couple of times through this journey. It's when you're in the Bible, so easy to access now. It's just like anything else on Google. You can, if you're having a bad day, it's like, what's a Bible verse for a bad day? And things will just pop up. So I have come across that verse. I think it's a great one. I went with Proverbs 17:17. It states that a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So again, we talk about who you surround yourself with, right? A true friend who's gonna walk this journey with you, or even support you in the walk, because I have some really good friends. It's from very diverse backgrounds, and some believe, some don't. I've traveled the world. I've traveled the United States. I've met all walks of life, and I want to. I've always wanted to support people and their walk, and you have to be a true friend first, and then you'll find that brotherhood and sisterhood. I don't want to leave the women out, but you'll find that connection, and once you make that connection and you understand each other, then I think God will open up that door. Like I was talking the other day, you don't have to get right with God, get all your sins forgiven, get your mind right, and then go find God. It's not our job to do that. We make introductions. I think our job as believers and as disciples is to make an introduction to the wicked, to the poor, to the prostitute, to the drug addict, to the non-believers, to the people that don't know God, right? We make that introduction, then we let God do what he does. And it may take 30 years, Matt. It took 30 years to bring me back. And God was instilled in me when I was a kid. I made an introduction to God when I was 5 years old. And it took him 30 years to water me and cultivate me and grow me and bring me back. So I think you got to be a true friend, a loyal friend first. Be there for that person no matter what they're going through. Support them. And then when that moment's right, you'll feel it and you'll know it. You can introduce God and let God work. And maybe they, change their life. But if they don't, doesn't mean we cut them off, right? You need spiritual balance in your life to keep you strong. But you got to go into the unspiritual side to try to make introductions. And it's, this verse brings a lot to that to me. It kind of clicked in my head when I read it about being a better friend to people, because when I first started this journey, I did cut some people off, and I had to, I had to get my mind right. And now I want to, to get back out there and get those relationships back, even though I may not be living the same way anymore. It doesn't mean that I still can't be here and be a good friend to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy. Again, God's working here on Armor Up Athletics. This is the quote that I'd put in my notes to share. And it goes exactly with what you said. When you surround yourself with people who sharpen your faith, you become tougher, wiser, and more focused on what really matters. And when you do the same for others, you become part of God's sharpening process in their life. I think it's absolutely amazing. All the views and all the clicks and the guests and I love all that. That's awesome. It's amazing. It's not for Matt. It's not for Phillip. But what I'm most proud of is being a part of somebody else's sharpening process, right? Sharpening somebody, the people that I text on a daily, the people that reach out and talk about a verse or something that they saw on Instagram or Facebook. And we've got some preachers on Facebook that we share back and forth now, right? And some of the words that they're sharing, like that's the part that I'm most proud of. And I think that for me, sharing that faith obviously has been a huge step in my life, but sharing that faith and then seeing people come to Christ because of it. Just this weekend, my brother called me and he said, "Hey, at North Augusta's team meeting this weekend, our offensive coordinator shared some stories about your podcast." And he was telling the kids about it. And he said, now the kids, about 5 or 6 kids came up and asked him about, how can they listen? How can they tune in? And so if I can reach those kids, when I had a chance, I did. I was the head coach at North Augusta. I had a chance, wasn't living the right way, wasn't exactly leading the right way. I mean, we won and we were successful on the field, but what was I doing off the field? So now I feel good that I can retroactively go back and make up for something that I screwed up on at the beginning.
Yeah, and then think about that. Like, so to me, again, you go back to the true friend is a constant source of support, remaining loyal through prosperity and adversity. How many friends have you had when you're up? Everybody's on you, right? When you're winning, everybody's there, right? How many of you had when you're down? Who was there when you were down? Think about that for a minute, and that'll resonate in really what a true friend through. Because I want to see everybody succeed. There's a lot of people in this community and in this town and in this world that really hate people when they succeed, and I've seen it firsthand. Not going to call anybody out, but I've been victim of it. For making myself successful, you get hated on, and I've never been like that. I want you to succeed. I want you to have everything. I have friends. I'm wearing one I'm sat tonight. Tim McCune, one of my best friends in the world. He's built his business from the ground up, man. I mean, I've watched this guy put his boots on every day for 15 years and get to work, and he's very successful now. And I'm super proud of him. I can't be more proud. I sent him a picture tonight. I said, "I'm rocking your hat on the podcast tonight." I want to give him a shout out. But and he's the same way in return. Even though we may not get to hang as much as we used to, he'll tell me all the time. She may text, "Hey man, I'm proud of you. Keep your head up." That type of stuff goes a long ways especially for men. And not knocking, but our mental health leans on a balance. Like it's a seesaw, right? We really are. Day to day, our mental health can go this way or it can go that way, depending on the slightest little thing. I know mine does. So having those true friends to battle through adversity with is the ones that you really, that you appreciate. And then it gives you the strength to go continue to fight for everybody else that you want to be proud of, and you want them to be successful. And again, when I say successful, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about family, your life, your kids being healthy, your heart being pure, you're finding your way in life. Whatever success is to you, my success is seeing my children grow, be successful on the field. My oldest son being successful in his job. I don't care how much I have in the bank. At the end of the day, I want my children to just go as far as they can in life, and I'm their biggest fan. I spent 28 hours at a ball field this weekend, so that's what it's about to me, Matt. And this show has been so important for me. It's made relationships. Who'd have thought would have met Terry Dean through this. It's all, our Armor Up is all the way down in Naples, Florida with Terry Dean. I sent him some bracelets, and he texts me, and now I'm like on a text basis with Terry Dean. So crazy, man.
God has a plan, man. God has a plan. You said it there too. Who's with you? Everybody's with you when you're up, but who's with you when you're down? And that kind of led me to my next point. Like, who are the people sharpening you? Armorhead specifically. Who are the people that's sharpening you, and who are you sharpening? Find those people that you can lean on. Find those people that you can reach out to. If you don't know somebody, send us a DM. We'll keep it private. If you need somebody that, man, you don't know where else to go, like, we'll figure it out. We're probably not the most eloquent of all people, but we'll figure it out, and we'll help you through whatever you're going through, and we'll help sharpen you. And I'm sure there's people out there that will help sharpen us. Terry Dean, Kennard Dura, some of the other guests that we've had on here, man, Harry Newsom, like those guys sharpen us as armor heads. We can help you just like these guys help us. So if your circle only cheers you on but never challenges you, you're not growing. Find teammates. Okay, I say teammates with a sports reference there, but brothers, sisters in Christ. Find teammates who tell you the truth in love, who push you to live with integrity. They remind you to keep your armor on when life gets tough, because you're not meant to fight these battles alone, Phillip. We can't fight these battles alone. You're meant to grow together.
I think you got to share these experiences with each other, right? I think if you share these experiences, it creates a bond that you got somebody you can talk to, and that was the biggest thing. And when I was in EMS, we didn't feel like we could talk about those things. We felt like we were weak if we talked about our vulnerable moments, that we were not doing our job if we cried, if we took that on as a personal thing, and that's carried over in my life. I've always felt like I had to be a strong man. I couldn't show weakness. I couldn't show my emotions. But I think now it's good to get that, to find somebody you can share that with. And when you have down days, and it creates that bond and that trust and that friendship, that you don't have to carry that burden alone, and that's been so big as well. Just having some people to call on from time to time. You don't have to walk by yourself. It's not, like you said earlier, we're not meant to do this by ourselves. That's the beautiful thing about serving Christ and being a believer and serving God. You don't have to do it by yourself. He doesn't want you to, so that's the wonderful, wonderful thing, man. And this, again, I can't believe we're 12 episodes in to this thing from that breakfast at Magnolia, that we're already on episode 12. And again, I love it. It's a big responsibility. I feel like sometimes that we have to, do this for God's work and God's service. And it does keep me in check from week to week. I know from the day to next Monday, people's going to watch this show, and we hope that they take something away from it that's godly. And the last thing I want to do is be out there not producing an image that's worthy of God, and get on here and talk about him. So it keeps me in check as well, and it's fun to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to do this every week, and obviously we have fun doing it, but it does help keep me in check. And Phillip, you said one thing there, and it reminded me of Kennard. We had a few episodes back, youth minister in Cowpen, South Carolina. But it reminded me of what Kennard said, and you said it there with your talk, but tell your story. Because remember, he said, you don't know who that story will impact. Because we were talking about being nervous, sharing our stories, and going through and opening up and kind of being vulnerable with ourselves and with our stories. And he encouraged us and Armorheads that were listening to tell your story, because you don't know who it's going to impact, and you don't know who that story was meant for.
And when he said that, I ended up speaking at Hopewell Baptist Church. And I think that's probably the most nervous I've ever been in my life. And I've been a very good speaker in my life. I mean, I've been the center of attention, the life of the party, danced on the bar shirtless, whatever it was. I've always been able to take over a room, even at work. I've trained hundreds of people. But when I stepped in that pulpit at Hopewell Baptist Church, man, I was I knew I was fixing to say some things about my life that a lot of those people didn't know, and I knew I was fixing to be very vulnerable in that atmosphere. And you're talking about, again, an old school type of church that the Baptist, the kind of I grew up in. So you got some older folks in there that's looking at you that don't know you, and you're about to tell your whole story out there to them. And it was very vulnerable, but it was very, I don't know the word I'm looking at, enlightening for me. It felt like a lot lifted off of me after I spoke that day. Like I'd been holding on to something for a long time, and the Lord just took that off of me. And once I started speaking, Matt, the words were coming, and I didn't even realize what I was saying at times. But He put every word in my mouth that day to structure it the way it needed to be said. And it was a blessing for me, and I can't wait to do it again now. And just to let everybody know, November the 9th, we got our Fields of Faith community youth rally at Sherall High School. So we got that nailed down, and the flyer come out today. Second Chance Ministries, Ricky Malloy is going to be there. So I think I may speak a little bit there. Armor Up Athletics is going to be there. I've already committed us. Told you about that. So we're going to be doing some interviews there, man. But I think talking about your struggles and your trials, like you said, can actually help other people without you even knowing it helps other people. It's helping us is what we're doing it for, but you don't even realize that you were blessing somebody else. And Kennard hit that on the nose when he said that, for sure. That resonated with me a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's iron sharpens iron, and I think there are some things that he said, and that night when he came on, it was kind of an impromptu, wasn't planned guest, and me and him just started texting, and it jumped on, and it was God's timing, and He did it for a purpose. And I love where we're at, and I love this iron sharpens iron mentality. This is episode 12, Stronger Together. It's something that I thought that when we both talked about it, I thought it was a great topic for us. We're getting close to playoff football time in high school, so it's definitely something that can apply to players, to adults, to coaches, to students, whoever may be tuning in.
Yeah. And again, when we talked this week, we had been on these failure, through faith and shows, and I wanted to get something a little more uplifting out there this week, and just tell people that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's okay to say what you need to say, and lean on other people, man, and just be open yourself up. Stay humble, man. Again, I just never would have thought that when we sit down at breakfast that day that it would be here, and it's good. And I know God's in it, because there's a lot of times, as busy as you and I are both right now, that these Monday nights are tough to get on here. And 2 hours ago I didn't feel like doing this, and then when you get on, it just rejuvenates me and everything feels good. And I know that's the devil trying to keep me from getting on here, and I know that's God when I get here, re-energizing me, and it's what I need, because I don't know, man, it's just fun. I can't, I don't want to rush time by, but when we both kind of slow down, we get to do some live stuff, some places, at some other sporting events. Hopefully we'll get to kind of expand it. But
yeah, that's definitely.
You got to worry about Cape Fear this week. It's what you got to worry about.
Yeah, you are correct. That's definitely the plan for the future. To venture into other sports, as we come into basketball season and winter sports and wrestling and all that. And but football season, I'm a little tied down.
We are too. We're dead in the middle of soccer season. We play the next 3 weekends, so it's fun. I enjoy it.
I do want to share one more verse, and then we'll jump into our locker room challenge. This verse is from Hebrews 10, verses 24 and 25. It says, "Let us consider how we may spur one another toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, but encouraging one another." And we talked about it there. Both of us said it in different ways, but encouraging each other. Have somebody that you can call on. Have somebody that's going to encourage you when times are tough. Have somebody that you can reach out to when you need advice, spiritual advice, football advice, job advice, whatever it is. Have those people in your life, and don't be afraid to reach out to them.
That's the fact, man. That's what you got to have. I mean, that's just that's the moral of the story tonight. Iron sharpens iron. Find that friend, that brother, that sister, whatever you need to take you through this life together. Don't feel like you got to walk alone. Like, DM us, reach out to us. I've been meaning to get on Armrock's page and start a prayer request. If you need to drop a name in our inbox or on our page, we'll be glad to pray for them and do what we can. We're all in this fight together, man, and that's what it's about.
Yes, sir. A locker room challenge. We missed the locker room challenge last week, rightfully so. We had a special guest in a special different format than what we typically go with. When you have an SEC champion on the show, some things kind of go on a different timeline, and that's okay. But this week's locker room challenge is simple, Phillip. I want you to find one person who makes you better spiritually, mentally, or physically. And it can be more than one, but find one person that makes you better spiritually, mentally, or physically, and just say thank you. Then be that person for someone else. Send a text, make a call, pray with a teammate or a coworker, speak life into someone who's struggling. That's how we sharpen each other. That's how we stay stronger together. I've already got a list of guys that I'll be texting Wednesday night after this airs. I'll be texting just to tell them thank you. But right now, Phillip, I'm going to tell you thank you for being there for me, for being that iron for me.
Same in return, man. I thought about, definitely telling you, and then, my biggest one that is right in the kitchen in there, my wife, not just saying that for browning points by no means, but, for 16, 17 years, she stood beside me and could have walked out at any time and would have been right in doing so. And there would have been nothing I could have said. So my biggest thank you is going to go to her to start with. And there's a few more on the list that's there, and yourself included, but, yeah, man, I like that one.
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. We got to be stronger together. Find your person, find your buddy, find your teammate, find your coworker, whatever you want to call them. I'll just say teammate because of the football aspect. Help them grow one way or the other, on and off the field.
That's good stuff. I like it.
Let's flip it over. High school football, last game of the regular season. Last game of the regular season in high school football coming up this week. Some region championships, some conference championships on the line, some playoff seedings and things in jeopardy, depending on what happens this week. But let's recap last week real quick. Last week we had St. James and North Myrtle Beach. This was a region matchup down there at the beach. St. James wins 20-17 in a close one. Up in the upstate, we had Spartanburg and Burns. We talked about both of them coming in at 5-3 and this being a region rivalry. The Rebels of James F. Burns High School take care of business 42-7. Go Rebs. Then we had Conway, Socastee, another region matchup down there at the beach. Socastee wins 38-19. And then we'll jump to our games of the week. I had Dorman versus Gaffney, both teams 6-2. This is a huge matchup for the region, for playoff seedings, all those things. It's a rivalry. Dorman wins 20-0. Was not expecting the Dorman defense to hold Gaffney to 0.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah. And then your matchup of the week was Loris and Marlboro County. This was on TV. You picked this game, wanting to see if Loris was the real deal, wanting to see if Marlboro County could bounce back. And Loris wins 49-14.
Loris solidified themselves in my mind. They're nasty.
They solidified the region championship.
Yeah.
They're going to get ready to make a push in the playoffs.
Yep.
Then last week in college, there was some really good games in college last week. We had number 8 Ole Miss and number 13 Oklahoma. Both teams came into this game 6-1. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, 34-26, win the game. Lane Kiffin's got to be very careful right now to keep his focus on a top 10 team and make a push in this playoff because there's everybody in the country, including that logo right there, making calls. And I know they got agents to handle that stuff for him, but he's got to stay focused because now LSU, Florida, Penn State, like there's some big jobs out there coming up. And so he's got to stay focused for the Ole Miss team.
He's a hot commodity right now.
Yeah, I saw somebody post. Everybody wants a piece of Lane Kiffin, and then it had all the logos up there, and then the next person commented and said, "How is this man going to coach 4 teams at once?" I thought that was pretty good. I would love, this is wishful thinking, and we'll get to LSU, but this is wishful thinking as we're talking about job openings. I'd love to see Nick Saban go back to LSU.
I thought
Credit leaving
that's
it.
got to be their first phone call.
I mean, why
They got
wouldn't
to call him.
why
You
wouldn't
know,
it? He's always said he regretted leaving there, going to the NFL.
yep.
I think that would be the perfect way to cap off his career. Obviously, I would love to see it, just to see a legend get back in the game. But anyway, we had South Florida ranked number 18 and Memphis. Both teams were 6-1. Memphis had that one slip up to UAB, or they would probably be ranked, but they won 34-31. Tight ball game there. We had Houston and 24 Arizona State. Houston wins. Houston takes down a top 25 opponent, 24-16. And then we had our games of the week. You had Texas A&M and LSU. You wanted to see you called an upset alert. You jinxed my boy Kelly.
Kelly put him out of the game.
Texas,
I really didn't think LSU would fire him if they lost that game. I really did not think that would come for him. They were still having a winning record, but expectations are expectations, I guess.
Yeah, they have high expectations at LSU.
Yeah, a little higher than Florida's because it took. Our best season was 8-5. His worst season was 9-4. So.
Yeah, it's wild times in college football. No, every time you get to this point of the season, there's some crazy stuff happening. But this season, it just seems like there's some bigger names than we've seen. All happen like within a week apart. It's been
Yeah.
Texas A&M wins 49-25. I don't know if I mentioned the final score. I had to reiterate that 49-25, and they are definitely solidified as a top 5 team in the country. And then my game of the week was 15 Missouri and number 10 Vanderbilt. Did you see that graphic that got put out on Armor Up Athletics? That stud, number 84 for Vanderbilt, catching that ball. That was Matt.
Yeah, I did. That was you? Was that you?
Yeah. It was me. Practice pick.
A practice pick.
Hey, it's okay. We had to throw something out there, man, because we're on a hot streak right now. Vandy wins. It was the game day site. They win 17-10. Really excited for the Doors and to see if they could not even fathom the thought that they would possibly be a playoff team at any point in my lifetime. I mean, and I went there and I got all that, but we got a chance. We got it. So you're saying there's a chance. Moving into the final regular season week of high school football. Where has time gone? It feels like just yesterday we were given our game of the week for week 0, and now we're in the final week. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess is the old saying there, Phillip.
Yep.
So high school games to call out this week. We've got Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach 6-3, North Myrtle Beach 3-6, but everybody knows in rivalry games anything could happen. Myrtle Beach could seal second place in a home playoff game for that region if they win, but rivalry games can go any which way, and we know that, and we've been a part of that, even when you're down or even when you're up. So that's why that game is on the list. And then second one, we have Central sitting at 7-1 and North Central sitting at 7-2. North Central upset AJ, and they have a chance to seal the region championship with this game. Was not expecting Coach Sisk and North Central to pull out that win against AJ last week, but what a great win for them. It's a testament to their program. He's been there for a few years. He's been building that program, and now they're in position to seal the deal with this win right here Friday night. Central wins, then we have a split, and there's a tiebreakers and all kind of stuff that could happen there, but North Central in the driver's seat. We've got Irmo 9-0 against Dutch Fork 7-1. This is the region championship. This is the region championship, and Irmo is the favorite here, by the way. I don't know if I would ever pick against Dutch Fork at all, not with Tom Knotts.
Hard to do. Hard to do.
Yeah. We have AC Flora at 8-1 against Camden at 7-2. The winner of this game will be the 2 seed in the region. South Point's locked up the number 1 seed. South Point, really good football team, but a 2 seed will guarantee you a home playoff game. So this is a big game for them, for a second place game there in that region. And then the final one, we have Cape Fear sitting at 8-1 against Scotland, 7-2. The conference championship game. They call them conferences in North Carolina, regions in South Carolina. I prefer the term conference. It makes more sense to me in my head. But this is the conference championship game at Scotland High School in Laurinburg, North Carolina this week. What you think?
Well, I wanted to go with y'all's game, but I got some dog in the fight with the Central North Central game. I just want to see who can win our region. I was shocked that North Central beat AJ. I really thought that wasn't going to happen. So I'm going Central North Central this week.
Central North Central is your pick. I like it. A big matchup. I mean, all of these are for their own reasons. I said I wasn't going to do it twice, but I'm going to do it twice. Scotland Cape Fear. I mean,
you're on a roll. You don't want to not
game.
do it now. That's why I wanted to stay away from it. I didn't want to jinx it.
Yeah. When you picked this, you jinxed it. So
I know. I didn't want to. I'm not touching it again.
Yeah. Good call. Good call. I like it. Week 10 college football. Number 9 Vanderbilt 7-1. 20 Texas 6-2. SEC matchup, top 20 matchup. Another top 20 SEC matchup we'll throw out there is 18 Oklahoma sitting at 6-2 against 14 Tennessee at 6-2. So 2 top 20 SEC matchups this weekend. Going to be fun to watch. I think everybody knows by now that Phillip and I are SEC homers, and we're going to call out at least 1 or 2 SEC games a week. Then we have number 17 Cincinnati at 7-1 against 24 Utah sitting at 6-2. Another good ranked matchup. Here's one that nobody would expect. Navy 7-0. Navy 7-0 against North Texas 7-1. 2 good teams. Like group of 5 teams, but 2 teams that are playing some really good ball. First time Navy's been 7-0 in like 100 years or something. It wasn't that long, but it's something like that. And then 15 Virginia at 7-1 and California at 5-3. I threw Virginia in there because they won again in overtime. This is their 3rd game that they've won in overtime. They just beat UNC in overtime. They've had a double overtime game, and then they had another overtime game. So 3 times this year they have found a way to win in overtime. And they're fun to watch, man. It shouldn't have even been that close against North Carolina. Let's just be real. But the testament of a good team is finding a way to win you're not playing well. And they are doing it. Even when they're not playing well, they're finding ways to win.
You got to love an ACC matchup with California, right? Is that ACC?
Okay.
Cali, Stanford.
Makes sense geographically.
Yeah, so this week I'm gonna step out of the SEC. I'm gonna throw something else in. I'm going Cincinnati, Utah for the Kelsey brothers. I want to see if Cincinnati can hold on. They really snuck up and become a really, really crazy good football team. But I'm also throw a secret one in there on the side that I think you probably just overlooked. It was a minor oversight. Florida, Georgia this weekend. I'm calling upset. Florida's going to beat Georgia this weekend. Called it right here.
I did not overlook that. We typically don't throw, top 2 ranked teams against teams that can't find a way to win. It's just
look, Billy Gonzalez, interim head coach, nothing to lose. Lagway throwing for 400 yards this weekend. My pick, Cincy, Utah, who I'm going with this week.
I love it. I'm going to go out of the box too this week, man. I love to watch their offense. Probably because I don't understand it as much as I understand spread offenses, but Navy, love to watch their offense, the triple option offense, love the service academy and everything that those guys stand for, playing football and then going on to serve our great country. So I'm going to pick Navy North Texas this week as my matchup.
I like it.
Yep. So we've got Navy North Texas, Cincinnati, Utah, Georgia, Florida, mixed in there, I guess you could say. Then we've got Central, North Central. North Central again, playing for a region championship. And then I've got Cape Fear and Scotland for a conference championship game this Friday night. We've got four good ones there.
I got a good buddy of mine I used to work with. His son played at Cape Fear back when they won the state. I think it was a few years back. I got to text him this week and let him know that Fighting Scots are in the way, buddy. What are you going to do?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say we're in the way. They've got some really good players. I got to go into coach speak here for a second. They have
that's that humility. I like it.
They have a running back that's really, really good. They have a quarterback that's really good. They have a defensive end and a linebacker and a D tackle. I mean, their record is what it is because they're good players. I mean, they're 8-1 for a reason. They've got great players. They've got great coaches. So it's going to be a good test for us. The good news is because of the way that it's weird in North Carolina, there's 6A and 7A schools sometimes in what they call a split conference. The good news is they are a 7A program. We're a 6A program. So we could theoretically not win the conference, but still get the 1 seed from our 6A side of our – it's weird. I'm trying to figure out that split conference deal. It's just geographically and how the travel times line up. But, yeah, there's half of our conference is 6A and half of them 7A. We haven't lost to a 6A team this year, which that's a good sign because in the playoffs, all we play is 6A. So, take that. But, obviously it's a championship game. We want to win a conference championship. Hasn't been done since 2017. So it's a big one, no doubt.
I saw Zamir came back this week too. That was really cool.
Yeah, we had a jersey retirement for Zamir White. Awesome. Scotland, great Scotland legend, #1 recruit in the country at running back.
Pretty good.
Yeah, is in the NFL with the Raiders. He was on campus and at the game. They were on a bye week, and he was there for his jersey retirement, hanging out. He came in the locker room after the game and took pictures with all the kids, signed autographs for anybody that asked. I've got an Armor Up Athletics hat, royal blue, in his Scotland High School colors, signed by Zamir White. We're going to be doing some stuff with that. Stay tuned. Sneak peek there. Zamir White also now has one of the orange Armor Up bands. I gave him that as he was about to leave the facility. He was very, very, very good to the kids in the community, to our players, was very humble and appreciative of the honor. So it was really cool to meet him and just, see how he interacted in his hometown. It was fun to be a part of.
Good deal. Yeah. He was a good player, man. He really was. He was a stud.
Yeah, slightly above average, I guess. If you're the Gatorade Player of the Year and the #1 running back in the country, and probably deserves that honor. I mean, there's nobody else that you can say, very few that you can say was the #1 recruit, Gatorade Player of the Year, 4-time All-Conference, 2-time Conference Player of the Year, won a national championship in college, went to the NFL. Like, it's very, very rare. So to see somebody with that and see somebody be so humble about all that, like, he didn't really care about all the accolades and stuff. He just wanted to hang out with the guys in the locker room. He come in the locker room. He's like, man, this place hasn't changed a bit. I'm like, yeah, you're in the locker room, buddy. Here we go. So it was fun. It was cool to see those interactions and the kids, have somebody to look up to, a positive role model.
Absolutely.
That played there, that is from Laurinburg, that went through the same things that they're going through, and they could talk to him, and iron sharpens iron, right? So he was able to sharpen those young kids and those young players' minds as they chase their dreams of playing in college and playing in the NFL. So that was really cool.
Yep.
Episode 12, Stronger Together. We'll recap here with our theme verse of the night was obviously Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And then my verse for the night was Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. When I fall, Phillip helps me. If Phillip falls, I help him. That's just the way it goes, man. And I'm excited about this episode, excited about this message. Phillip, what was your verse again?
Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So again, you finding that person that you can ride with, man. and you're going to be built for the tough times. That's what you got to have. You be built for the tough times and stay humble, man. That's it.
Absolutely. And before we close it out in prayer, I do want to mention that the former player that I mentioned before, with the brain stuff going on, Colton Newsom has announced that he will medically retire from the game of football. He's going to continue to go be a student, and he's going to continue chasing his dream of playing golf because he's a really, really good golfer. I think that, you never know what God has in store for him and what his plans are, but I think he's going to be a heck of a football coach one day if that's what he decides to do. He would always be my first call whenever I need a coach. So I do want y'all to keep him in your prayers. Obviously, when you chase a dream for your whole life and then it gets pulled away from you, it's tough to deal with. I've recently dealt with that. And I know at that age, I don't know if I would have been able to be as mature as Colton has been in the past few days with his process and, giving up something that he's played this game since he was 5 years old. So giving it up at this point is really tough on him. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers as he, travels down a new path and see where God takes him in his journey with sports and life.
Yeah, I saw that on your page today, and definitely sent up a prayer too for him, and we'll continue to do so. That's got to be tough, but again, iron sharpens iron, and he sounds like a mature young man, and I'm sure he'll be successful in another path. But lots of prayers for that man. That's tough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's close it out in prayer, Phillip. Dear Lord, we ask that you help us sharpen others, and also open our hearts and our minds for when others are trying to sharpen us, that we don't miss the message. We have 2 ears, Lord. Listen more than we speak, Lord. We ask that you give us that ability to hear others, to listen to others. We pray for Colton. We pray for all the breast cancer survivors and the people that are affected by breast cancer this month. Thank you for everything that you've done for us and everything you're going to do for us, Lord. We ask that you keep us safe this week on and off the field as we travel to our different destinations and to our jobs. Help us be a light. Help us sharpen others, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen, man.
Well, Phillip, it's been a good one. Love you, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
Love you too, man. Had a good time.
Go Scots.
Go Scots.
Jesus.
Go Jesus.
God's love, Ephesians 6:11, yeah, it's the drill. Put on the full armor, stand firm in his will. Armor up, we don't back down. Shield of faith when the world comes around. Sword in my hand, I'm ready to fight. Jesus is the captain leading through the night. Yeah, sports in the spirit, it's a game of endurance. Training in faith, no room for deterrence. Quinn and Phillip, tag team for the kingdom. Breaking down walls till the world can see them. Helmet of salvation, blocking the lies. Built the truth, yeah, I'm suited to rise.